Today we're going to be talking about how PlayOn Sports keeps 17,000 live streaming camera systems running with Canopy. Canopy provides remote monitoring and management software for connected products like self-checkout kiosks, security systems, smart lockers, point of sale systems, etc., giving users the ability to see and solve problems remotely and often automatically. My name's Michael Plachta. I'm a senior account manager in customer success for Canopy. And joining me today is my good friend, Logan, from over at PlayOn. So Logan, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe give us some info about PlayOn and its mission?
Absolutely. Like Michael said, my name is Logan. I am the quality assurance video streaming lab manager for PlayOn. Basically means I do work on our product team for our product development. I am largely responsible for our automated video platform software QA before it makes it out to our aforementioned 17,000 systems in the field for new features, bugs, and software deployment and everything in between. So PlayOn is comprised of GoFan, the NFHS network, and VidSwap. We propel schools onward with enduring innovation and service to make and focus on what matters most: students, staff, and communities. That's really what our mission statement is. We comprise all of our platforms and our services into one single pane of glass for schools called HQ that basically enables schools to make a new event for everything that you need to see at a 10,000 foot level: ticketing, sales, as well as streaming, viewership, and our feature innovations with schools' websites and for analytics, for coaches and everything. It's just a great place to go.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm sure any parents or grandparents watching this are probably very familiar with the PlayOn product. This is the product you're probably watching your kids or your grandkids games on in high school, middle school, et cetera. Fantastic product. We love what you guys are doing. With that being said, let's jump into it. What are some of the core components of the PlayOn video streaming system?
Sure. So we have a automated camera streaming product that does a good majority of the events that we do on the network. This year, we'll have somewhere in the realm of 750,000 to 800,000 events produced. A large majority of that, 90+%, will be automated productions. So cameras that are connected to desktop towers, so it enables local rendering processing. And then that gets sent out to the NFHS network for consumers to find on the NFHS network. On the network, like you can see on the screen, fans can subscribe and then follow their schools so they can get their lineup and their upcoming events first, and then they can dive in and start watching immediately. The automated platform makes all the events as easy as possible as it gets. It gets installed by our team, activated, calibrated, tested, and routinely monitored. And then that's our automated production team. And then the other side is what we call our manual broadcast, or a traditional broadcast, if you will, where either students can put on their own production with, of course, assistance with the school, or other platforms, programs being able to stream to us so that grandparents, parents, fans of the school can watch any students in the school or in the region or nationwide. It's a great platform.
Can you dive into maybe a little bit of some of the unique challenges you guys face?
There are over 20,000 schools in the United States, all 50 states. And there are there's so many different configurations and setups, and of course, physical architecture and everything like that. No schools are the same.
Yeah.
Just to put it bluntly, we have relationships with over 9,000 schools. Of course, we're in the high school market, targeting towards the high school market, of course. There are different standards and requirements with physical infrastructure to network to personnel, with 3 different camera product lines, over 3 different operating systems, different venue styles. When you walk into a gym, you're like, this is a gym. I love it. It looks great. I'm here to watch my game. To us, physically installing a camera, to providing internet and power to the processing system and everything like that, there's no two schools that are up. We can find golden goose eggs here and there, but they're really not the same. So we try to put on three main topics. Networks, they're really not all the same. Of course, as we go into later into the 21st century and technology is changing literally every hour, we try and unify all of our recommendations and rules, but things fall through the cracks, especially with it's just a complex topic. But number 2, technical sophistication. We deal with everybody in the school, honestly, from athletic director to program teachers that for, like I mentioned before, the manual production. So those that are just dealing with putting on an event, or even a coach, or even IT, or principal, superintendent. We talk to everybody, even bookkeepers, largely for our ticketing product. But even then, we talk to everybody. So we have to unify our language, our communication with all of our clients to help them achieve their goal of streaming without any issue. And number 3, my favorite, growing at scale. 2020 was quite the year. 20 and 21, and honestly, bleeding into 22. It was a roller coaster. But yeah, that's some of my favorite unique challenges that we work with.
I can imagine thinking of specifically the technical sophistication of the customer base and how broad and how big your customer base is, that being able to do as much as possible on your own, remotely, if possible, is really a key thing when you're dealing with, you don't know who's at the end. You don't know the end user. You don't know how well they're going to know their network, or what the device is, or even how to plug in the device. You never know.
Sure.
So it's very interesting. I definitely think these are some interesting challenges, and ones that you guys are, I know, attacking with vigilance today. So appreciate that. Before Canopy, what was it like to monitor and manage these systems? What were you doing? How were you even keeping track of this large deployment?
Yeah. So all of our automated cameras, they do report to a backend that basically gets us some basic information about the devices, really only at the high level. Its system name, when it was last online, its unique identifier, and things like that. So we started off with a relatively manageable number of systems. With the team that we had pre-2020, we had about 5,000 to 6,000 systems. I remember as I joined our team in 2019, we were in the process of crossing the 6,000 line. So things were relatively manageable. We had good documentation of pictures, and even a team that went on site to install the cameras, get pictures, documentation, of course. And then we had a great idea of how systems are set up physically and things like that. So we were able to communicate well with the school to say, hey, we think it's this. Can you check that? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. As we progressed through 2020 and beyond, we had doubled our install base in a year. So 6,000 to 12,000. And then beyond that, we've reached over 17,000 activated systems. It's hard to keep up with information that way, especially as we go through spreadsheets and old ticketing documentation. And of course, people move on, so their knowledge moves along with them. So we were just dealing with a lot of old information that was just stored in the brain, or hard to discover, especially as it was stored in external systems. So basically, we were dealing with manual device by device management, in addition to just old, outdated information. I like to say, once you export a bit of information about a system, it's immediately out of date until you go and export it the next time. It's hard to keep up with, especially as it's not a living and breathing system that constantly gets information about a device. There's really no way of guaranteeing and assuring that a device will be working. So basically, what we were doing as we were bleeding through 2020, we were basically exporting device information and updating processes, tracking status of them, checking if network ports were open, basically just a long list checklist, ensuring that devices were working, and we would start at the top, go to the bottom, start right back up at the top again. Are they actually set up correctly? And are they
Yeah.
actually working? It was a very hard question to answer. And as we grew, we realized immediately we can't keep track of that, especially from a technical sophistication standpoint of, are your cameras functioning properly? Are they configured correctly? Is this one special nuance thing about your venue set up correctly? Or that you want to be able to check, is a calibration properly stored for that sport, or is um, a third party device that's collecting some other information about the event scores, for example, isn't even connected to the computer and configured correctly? Is that software up to date? We had no way of monitoring that at scale at the same time. So we were basically dealing with that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I mean, the potential for human error when you're dealing with a manual process like that, especially when you just said you had 100% growth in 1 year,
Mhm.
it's just so high. And then on top of that, you're having to scale a team basically at the same rate that your
Mhm.
devices are growing because of the way you're managing it manually like that, right? So
Yeah.
you're onboarding brand new people, having to train people nonstop on these
Mhm.
processes that are manual, and there's errors happening. So it's just a snowballing effect of problems. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it was like in 2020. I imagine there was not a lot of sleep at the PlayOn offices growing that fast and getting
Mhm.
everything up and running. But you guys did a fantastic job, obviously, because where you're at today is amazing. So awesome. What's maybe a common system problem from back in those days that before Canvas, or one you can like hone in on? You're like, oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah. During our setup process, we had to actually configure the system based on where it is physically, geographically, with a time zone, which basically meant if the system was in an incorrect time zone, it would not go on air on time and it would not stop on time. So, say you are in the Eastern time zone, your event starts at 5, but it was set for Pacific, your event would start at 8 o'clock. And then by that time, the event's already over, especially if it's a basketball event. Uh, that led us to a bunch of events that actually did go on air, but actually didn't capture anything. So
Mm.
as we were going through the process, like you said, through 2020, hiring people so quickly in order to meet with our demand of events and units needing to be installed, it was something that was just looked over left and right. Unfortunately, it cost us a lot of mistakes, but we were able to, like I said before, just export a list, have everybody go through the list and make sure it was right. But by the time we got to the bottom of the list, we had added hundreds more systems, so we would have to start over. So,
Never ending cycle. Yeah.
never ending
Wow.
cycle.
Okay. Crazy days. So you lived through
Mhm.
that time.
Mhm.
Then you got to meet my awesome colleagues over here at Canopy. You guys are like, yes, let's jump on the Canopy bandwagon, right?
Mhm.
When you first heard about Canopy, when we first started integrating and implementing it, what you hope to accomplish when you were bringing Canopy on board? What was your goal?
Sure. Yeah. Right off the bat, I was like, these guys can collect data immediately. It was a breath of fresh air to start with. All the basic information that we needed is know about devices like time zone. Is it even set correctly? Software versions, core dependencies on a system that are required in order to make the system function. Are they even installed correctly? Are they up to date? Things like that. The basics of information that we weren't able to get before, we were able to get immediately, export it in a list, and then actually have a team start working on it immediately, working with our vendor to make sure it's actually functioning correctly. It was a night and day difference, being able to export everything in a heartbeat, not over a few days, having our team collect all that information. That was my first inkling of being able to interact with Canopy. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Okay. So Canopy's on board now. You've done the implementation, you've done the
Mhm.
integration, you've had it running for a little bit here now. Any big impacts that you can identify after you brought Canopy into your software toolkit?
No. For sure. It's such a night and day difference. It's fantastic. We've actually rerouted a few of our support teams to use Canopy as their one and only tool. We call it our advanced client op teams with our school support operations. They use Canopy as a proactive monitoring tool. They're, they use Canopy in addition to a few other systems to routinely monitor devices in certain regions that they're assigned to and see what devices are encountering. Maybe it's slow internet or port closures in a district or even massive power outages as we monitored through the hurricane season this last year. Being able to watch systems go offline and come online in certain regions so we know where to attack and support schools best to get the systems back online. And then we also use Canopy for our inbound team so they can get a very high level look at a system before they start to investigate a user's issues, whether it's the system is offline or maybe a camera is disconnected, things in that realm. And then on the administrative level, that's me and our product team. We use it for reporting, of course, devices online, offline, as well as upgrading systems, making sure file dependencies and drivers and all the hardware components are connected. And then just all of that in one big culmination of Canopy as a whole. It just makes our workforce way more efficient tackling our systems.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What about, do you have any more stories about how Canopy has helped play on streaming operations? Obviously, you're a streaming company at heart. Anything you can think of over the last 2 years that we've been working together that really stick out in your mind?
Yeah, we've had a few software anomalies where, like I mentioned before, time zones where streams would not start on time. There are some instances where events would not start at all due to a software bug or things like that. One instance was a occurrence of a memory leak that caused the system to basically utilize all of its available memory. And then when it was fully allotted on the system, it had no functional way of communicating back to the system's backend or to our remote access systems. So we were basically stuck in asking clients or schools or anybody at the school, hey, you got to unplug and plug it back in. So as we were dealing with that, Canopy was able to identify when that was actually happening. We were able to implement a report of devices that were just experiencing that, being able to tackle that and send it to our vendor so that it could resolve the issue. Canopy's IoT automations have also been super helpful. I don't think we were able to use that in this certain case, but being able to remotely initiate a reboot based on a certain hardware condition, whether the CPU is experiencing high usage for a certain amount of time, or memory is full, or the hard drive is full, or something like that, using Canopy automations to just deal with it for us. It's been such an incredible asset to our support team and also to me, just as our checking on systems and making sure they're working correctly. It's great.
I'd love to hear it. I want to keep you happy. That's my goal, Logan. So I love to hear it. So I'm curious, do you have any metrics you can share on Canopy's impact, specifically with availability, streaming, things like that? Do you have any hard numbers?
Yeah. So we measure our event success based on our basically event success rate. Since using Canopy, our ESR has actually gone up by 6%. That's current through this current school year. So it could be way higher by the end as we get out of basketball season into spring sports. And then we created a new metric called event quality score or production quality score that has gone up 8.5% average year over year, which has been incredible. Just being able to use Canopy's tools to help us identify subsets of systems that are experiencing certain issues, whether it's their scoring device is disconnected or their software is out of date or they've been offline for X amount of time so that we can target those systems. We've been able to increase the quality of the broadcast that is going out to fans so substantially very quickly. It's been incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's all about keeping those fans happy, man. You don't want angry parents calling you when they miss their kid's game on the stream or something. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're getting a value out of it and you're seeing the impact. That's fantastic to see. Final question for you. I know I'm taking up all your time here. Look ahead. What are your goals for the future with PlayOn and Canopy?
Yeah, we to take even a step back just a little bit, we've actually spent a good bit of time internally using Canopy's great APIs to integrate a Salesforce sync. So all of our assets and everything exist in our Salesforce instance where we can sync where devices physically are when they're assigned to a school and what state they're in. That's kind of the next step, so that we can basically create the whole device lifecycle using our Salesforce instance and Canopy, being able to track a system in real time from when it's in the warehouse to when it's out of school. If it ever has to be repaired, it's going back to its repair facility and then back to the school and maybe decommissioned. Using Canopy's tools, available APIs and tools, it's been so easy to be able to make that happen. We're already working on trying to reduce our number of systems that our teams have to use to have to track multiple systems at once. So we're trying to pull in device life cycle status or current status, I should say, whether it's online or offline or live and broadcasting or it needs assistance, pulling that directly into Canopy to make it a live actionable item. And then using the IoT automation engine to track certain functions about a system. We're working towards some other connectivity and backup systems, getting those automated alerts and functions to notify the school support operations team to say, hey, I've lost power multiple times this week. We need to work on this. I've lost internet this many times this week, and we need to work on that. We have so many things on the docket that we're looking forward to get rolling.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Logan, I'm so excited about what the future holds for us. I can't wait to see what we create together and improve on and just grow our relationship together. So I want to say I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for sharing some about the PlayOn story and what you're doing over there today. It's been a great experience and I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
And for everybody out there, I really encourage you to go visit playonsports.com if you want to learn more about PlayOn Sports and their streaming and ticketing and everything, all the stuff they do over there. And obviously come visit us at gocanopy.com if you'd love to learn more about how we handle RMM and remote device management. So thank you very much for joining us and have a good day.